Hey look! A remake of the game adaptation of a film from 1995! What could possibly go wrong? For all you youngsters that were born in 1995, Goldeneye was the 17th James Bond film, which was adapted by developer Rare in one of the Nintendo 64's most celebrated titles. So some genius decided to remake the game for the Wii, and then someone even more brilliant decided to remake the remake and release it for the PS3 and the 360. And it's a first-person shooter produced by Activision. The decision to play this fresh out of the utter betrayal that was Call of Ace Modern Horizon was ill-advised, but I thought it lived dangerously for a week. What's a real pity is that playing through this game I'd stop every 5 minutes to curse the talentless hacks who made it, but I checked up on their work online afterwards and I found out that while they've never made any great games, they've given me at least 2 underrated guilty pleasures, such as the Batman Begins game and Buffy the Vampire Slayer for the PlayStation 2. Then again, they also made the PS2 version of Quantum of Solace, which I literally smashed to bits and threw off the balcony, so I shouldn't be surprised. With a title such as this, the comparisons will be inevitable, so let's get this out of the way. Is GoldenEye Reloaded better than GoldenEye 64? I don't know, because I never played GoldenEye 64. I guess they can be avoided, haha. The story you should probably already know. It has some slight deviations from the movie, not that anybody gives a fuck, and it's 2011, so Daniel Craig is Bond instead of Pierce Brosnan. The gameplay is your standard generic first-person shooter. It takes its cues from Call of Duty and adopts everything that's bad about it, but forgets to rip off the things that make those games at the very least playable. So the bulk of the game is enemies pouring in from all directions, hiding at the far end of the level where you can't even see, while you have to shoot them all down until the room is clear or your stupid regenerating hell has finally failed you. Health packs are nowhere to be found outside of the hardest difficulty setting, and you can carry up to 3 weapons, all with irritating realistic recoil and reload times, and enemies that won't die before doing a little dance to show off the animation for every single fucking bullet they take. Apparently the realism of how bullets work never reaching that department of the developing team, and as is customary for first-person shooters these days, the graphics are crap and the far too many enemies that swarm in the room and resupply when you're halfway through to the exit, just so they can sucker punch you, are impossible to see and fucking hit from a distance. So the idea the game has is that you need to proceed through the room and shoot everyone down at closer range, even though God's apparently in the mood to fuck with you today and refuses to drop the necessary crates and just hide walls on the map to make this possible. This is what happens when you remake a game from a shooter with health packs and not hiding behind a wall for half the fucking game to what we so thoughtlessly call today the modern shooter. And of course, as it's also customary for shooters these days, the game is riddled with scripted sequences for all the cinematic feeling that Activision's mammoth title has established. So every time the game wants to set up some stupid sequence, it will throw something at you right the fuck out of nowhere, turning any given segment into a trial and error process with enemies that just happen to spawn right behind you at the most inopportune times. And you will have to tough it up and desperately seek cover from the enemy fire and the enemy sniper fire and the fucking RPG that just got shoved up your ass from that one guy that just spawned 2 fucking feet away while you're too busy looking for the command prompt to open the fucking door. Add insult to injury, the game has a sadistic tendency to reserve these trial and error sequences for the last room before you hit a checkpoint, just so you can go back and do the whole fucking thing over and over and over. It's like Sisyphus reaching the top of the fucking hill only to find himself back at the bottom. And whatever fond feelings you ever had for Bond's iconic ketchup-covered camera lens are bound to die with whatever shred of dignity you had before you picked up the fucking game. Alternatively, you can always stealth your way to a mission. I'm kidding, of course, you can't do shit, because this being an FPS, a stealth mechanic is that particular kind of stealth that you don't have the tools necessary to go through a room. Not to mention, the enemies seem particularly inconsistent about what bothers them. There were times I would trigger an alarm because I sneezed 3 rooms over, and times I just walked past them without even crouching and they just keep chatting over the water cooler about their favorite ways to murder democracy. Call of Duty is an overproduced scourge that has damaged the entire medium in a number of ways that most of us already know. But the most irritating of them all is the fact that game developers no longer try to involve the player and offer the kind of entertainment they're supposed to offer, but instead show off trying to impress them. It's no longer a product made for the consumer, it's a means for the developer to jerk off to how awesome they are when they play with their expensive shiny toys. The most infuriating thing of it all is that every time I pick up a shooter these days, I don't even need to get through to the end of the single player mode to get the full experience. 5 minutes is plenty to show me what the entire game is about, and then I start feeling like an idiot I stuck with it, just to see if something significant happens at any point in the standard 8-hour campaign. And of course there is multiplayer, but I'll be fucked before I bring company into this torture. More than that, the multiplayer is the very reason why this game shouldn't even exist. They decided to remake the game for the Wii in an effort to draw in the hardcores by offering an adult FPS in a system that had almost none, and at the same time feeding off their nostalgia from the golden N64 days. It's telling that the game did badly enough on its intended platform for someone to come out and request this is released on the 360 and the PS3 just to balance out the losses, or at the very least improve on the profit margin. The reason GoldenEye 64 made it into the history books wasn't its campaign, as solid as it may have been. It was the fact that it was the first console FPS to allow multiplayer. But ever since, it's been replicated and surpassed by every game in existence, especially on platforms such as the PS3 and the 360, with a few hundred first-person shooters in the library, a good deal of which are better in every sense of the word. This has no business taking up space on the shelves. So do us all a favor and stay away from this one before someone pitches remaking Spice World in an effort to draw in the restless spirits of murdered goats.